Mayor, whenever you're ready. I thought he was gonna be here, but I haven't heard from him.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. Would you join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Joe called me and said he was gonna try to zoom in. Is Joe on there? Not
No,
yet?
he's not.
He said he was gonna try to Zoom. He's got on a fire, but he's actually doing it out of his office. So he said, was gonna try to Zoom. He couldn't get here tonight, so.
Looks like that's him right there.
Must be Joe trying to get on, huh? Okay.
Hey, Steve, I'm on.
Are you there? Okay.
Yeah, and I texted you, but I apologize because I actually planned on being there tonight, but I got some things work things that I can't get out of.
Okay. Can I get a roll call?
Mayor Rao,
Here.
Councilman Rao,
Present.
Councilman Hunter, Councilman Fitzsimons,
Here.
Councilman Laverie.
Here,
Grant, you said Jamin's not gonna be here tonight.
Are we in compliance with the open meeting laws?
Yes.
Okay, public comment. Do we have any public comment related to anything on our agenda tonight? Doesn't look like that. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Hold on, let me get Tommy's microphone on real quick. All right, Tommy, would you mind doing that again?
Tommy, would you make that motion again? Your mic wasn't on.
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
A motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Items for discussion, possible action. Approve or deny permanent change to a 5-day work week, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day work schedule for all the city of Caliente employees.
So this is back, oh, yeah.
Yes.
So this is back on the agenda because of the requirement that we have per the union to notify if there's a permanent change to the schedule. And we felt like just to be sure whether or not this applied, we wanted to make sure we gave that notice if we were going to do something permanent.
So I know one of the concerns I had last time was on Mondays, only having one person there because of the way the schedule was set up. And one of the other issues is that we've got, I only have 3 employees under me, and it kind of makes for a lopsided week. When we had 4, we could split things up evenly. Anyways, if we were to put my public works guys on Monday through Thursday, I would always have guys there on the trash days. Even if somebody called in sick, we would have the coverage with the CDL license and the things that we needed. That would leave us just one guy on Friday with me and one other person. But we don't, because of trash being on Thursdays, we don't have large projects on Fridays. We are typically finishing things up, doing small projects on Fridays that wouldn't be a major deal if we had somebody out. So I see it as a possibility in my department to be able to run 4 10s and do it effectively. The other thing that we would do is if we had somebody going to be on extended leave or training, we would shift back to a 5/8 schedule and why that week, why they were going to be gone. So I would like to run 4/10s in my shop. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, Grant,
Yes, sir.
this is Joe, I got a question. I just got a question for you. Heard everything you said. Do you feel that's the most effective? I mean, you manage the crew, you run the crew, you see what's going on. Do you feel that's the most effective way to do business?
I do in the fact that we lose man hours by running a 5-day week and having paid lunches, the guys are off. So we only lose 2 hours a week per employee instead of 2.5. And it also gives us the opportunity to, if we're in the middle of a project, to have a chance to finish it up without having to shut down short and go to it the next day. I feel like it's more productive.
Copy. And I got one other question since I'm still on. That, like you, I know you probably discussed this with your employees and stuff, but if we went back to the 4/10s, they're like more than willing to, and I guess you are, to kind of move scheduling around different things, like you said, due to leave or
I have
maybe
not,
needs of the city and,
I have not
needs of the
discussed
city
it in
and stuff
depth.
like that. Okay,
I have not discussed it in depth with them. But the fact that it wouldn't be a permanent change, it wouldn't be an issue to change the schedule for a week while somebody's going to be gone. It wouldn't be something we'd need to go to the union about if we're not making a permanent change,
That was my question. If,
Copy.
would your union allow you to be flexible like that?
just like we have now, yeah.
I think if we did this, and then in the past, I don't think we did this, is just that, like making sure with the 4/10s, if we went back to it, scheduling around like needs of the city. I don't think we're ever addressed too much with that. And that's not knocking anybody or anything like that. I just don't know that that was ever a huge concern. But I think with the shorthanded crew, it still leaves you in a bind probably sometimes where maybe that has to be switched if we went back to this.
There are times that it could be difficult, but with being short on Friday, it's less of a challenge than being short on a Monday.
Anybody else have any comments?
We sort of went off of his recommendation before when we went back to 8-hour days. And I think that's the best way to work it out, especially with winter coming and the time change coming. So I would make a motion that we go to, how was it listed here? 5-day week, work 8 hours per day for the entire group of the city. Also, the city clerk said that that would be the only way that his office would operate efficiently. And we have union people there too. So I think that should be for all city employees. That's a motion.
Whose recommendation did you go off of last time? I didn't recommend 5/8.
You thought it would operate better. You said that at the last meeting. You sure as hell did.
I
Tell
recommended that
me
we stay
now
with
I'm out of
4/10.
line.
You're out of line because you're wrong. If we want to go back and look at the minutes in the video, we can.
All right, then we'll do it.
I said it was a struggle for Mondays, but I did not recommend that we went to 5/8.
I have some comments.
So there's a motion on the table. We should give it a minute, see if anyone seconds that motion. We'll let the motion die for a lack of second. And just so we're clear, I guess we need to make sure that we understand what we can talk about two different groups. So there's the clerical group and then there's the public works group as well. So that's a discussion that might need to be had as well.
Even before when we were on 4/10s, there was one employee that was always 5/8 besides me.
Anyway, Mayor Rowell, you had something to say?
I think we haven't completed our conversations on this thing yet before you made that motion. You were the only one that had commented, you and Joe. I don't think we had everybody comment yet. So how can we work that? I'd like to make a comment on it, and Sean does too, before we made a motion.
Yeah, go ahead. So the motion's died for lack of second, so.
Okay. Go ahead.
So
Sean.
you,
Go ahead.
I said from the beginning that I think that it's difficult sometimes for the council to dictate the work hours in relation to what Grant is dealing with and what, Craig deals with. I think it's hard sometimes, and I think last time I voted, I think against the 5/8 only because I was thinking that the foreman should have the right to kind of make that call. He's with them every day on a daily basis. My only thing is I'm a details, like I'm a facts guy, I'm an analytical guy, so I'd like to see like, if it were to go back to 410s, like who's on, hopefully there's nobody calling in sick with the garbage day. I mean, that was an issue we had before. It sounds like you're kind of addressing those issues. So, I mean, like I said, I'm a little in both worlds. I don't want to be indecisive, but I just think the foreman should have that say in what they know their employees. But also when we went to 5/8, we also were a man short. We still hadn't hired, I believe, Mr. Thompson, right?
We've hired him, yeah.
Since the 5/8, he's been hired, or,
Correct,
I just
because we
forget the
lost
timeline.
an employee due to 5/8.
okay, that was the
So
retirement of
we lost one and gained one, so really we're in the same,
the one in
Correct,
your
but
office?
What I'm saying is, I lost an employee due to the 5/8 schedule. He went somewhere where he could work 410s.
Oh, okay. All right, that's all I was saying. It was,
I didn't understand that.
We lost one of my employees due to the 5/8 schedule. He went to work somewhere where he could work 410s.
That was, Brackenberry.
Justin,
Okay.
you lost one in the clerical side, right?
What about the time change? I talked to some of the employees before, and they said that when the time changes, they sit over there for an hour or so in the shop before they even get going because it's dark.
if we want to make a compromise where we do 5/8 during the winter and 410s during the summer, I'm willing to do that. That's a fair compromise, I think.
This is, when we went to this before, they talked about going to where we work part-time, part of the year, 8 hours, part of the year, 10 hours. The wintertime is definitely a 5-day work week because of the shorter hours to work. I feel, and with the small amount of employees we have, that 5 days a week is what we should be working. Especially in the wintertime, And if we continue that, we can bring that back up in the spring and discuss whether you want to go to a summertime deal or not at that time. Right now, I think we ought to stay on a 5-day work week. That's just my comments, my feelings.
and I'll just add, because the city hall was mentioned too, that just my opinion that city hall, it would be a challenge, I think, for citizens to not be able to come to city hall 5 days a week. As much as I personally would love to work 410s, I would love that. My wife would love that. It'd be great. I do think that the citizens of Caliente I assume they would prefer to be able to come to city hall Monday to Friday, especially when Friday tends to be a day off for schools and a lot of employment elsewhere. It gives them a day to come to city hall during the day. I don't know if that's true. That's my feeling for city hall itself. That has nothing to do with the shop at all.
Do you feel, Grant, with this 5/8 and what you've seen in the last couple of months, get into certain projects because you have that extra day, is that better off? Or do you feel that sometimes there's only 8 hours and you feel like, I mean, where are you at as far as, sometimes is there 10 hours? I know that on the 410s you had 10 hours, so you maybe had more time to get stuff done. I mean, regardless of the last 2 weeks where you were, putting in overtime, that doesn't count with the floods and stuff, but
Yeah.
as far as, you know what I'm trying to say, like, do you find yourselves and your crew, like, hey, we're starting this project, maybe if it's at 11 or 1, but you're getting off earlier, I mean,
Yes, there are times that if we were putting in a new service or something, that we could get it all wrapped up in a 10-hour day. Whereas in an 8-hour day, we may not. We may have to cone it off, come back and finish up the last little bit the following day. The way the trash schedule is right now, being on Monday and Thursday, we try and do our projects Tuesday and Wednesday. Even on 5/8, that's gonna stay the same. It's not gonna change anything between 4/10s and 5/8. And Friday's gonna be a catch-up day, finish up things that we haven't got done, spray weeds, do things like that. So,
I guess that's what I was asking too, is if it would change your project days or that kind of thing, if you were to go back to 14.
Okay, Joe, do you have any other comments on this?
No, I've heard everything and, that it's a tough spot because I do agree with Sean and I kind of like that where Grant would have the management of the time, but I think where not to disagree too much with you, Sean or Grant, but where you're switching an entire schedule though, that makes it a little tough too. Yeah, I'm kind of, my only comment would be that we're running into winter and the employees we're still short. So it's gonna make it tough if we did this.
so I believe one of the reasons this came up when we discussed looking at it again when we got another employee, are we gonna discuss hiring an employee to fill Jim's position that we never have?
Would that be would we have to hire, oh, sorry, is that,
Yeah, it's not really an agenda item tonight. The only thing we're talking about is the 5/8 or 4/10, so we can put on the next agenda.
if you were, hypothetically, we did the motion where we compromised, where you're still on 5/8 all the way until, would that be, because you brought it up, maybe you'd say you'd compromise, would that be until April when the time changes again, or would that be in the summertime, like May, June, to go back to 4/10s?
I would typically follow the time change, but the time doesn't change anymore, so we could do like the end of October through the 1st of April. And right now Raymond's gone through the 1st of October, so we would still be on 5/8.
Because I think, like you said, Mayor, we talked about that originally a couple months ago. We said some cities and municipalities do that due to the daylight savings. You have more time in the summer or spring.
Yeah, my only deal is they have a bigger crew to work with. And I just don't see, right now, I don't see that being profitable for the city to do that myself.
I got one other, I kind of know, I probably know the answer and I don't know if, I guess it's appropriate to ask, but Grant, like employee morale would go up quite a few ticks if we did this though. 4/10 schedule.
If we went 4/10, it would help employee morale a lot, yes. That's where I explained, we lost one employee due to the 5/8 schedule.
Yeah, and I mean, cause I don't know. I think the employee morale would definitely go up but do we operate the city off employee morale, you know? And I'm a 4/10 employee, so I know the benefits of it and I honestly kind of like it. And I kind of like I said, what Sean says, and if we did go to 4/10s, I think it's on you to answer to us, like if work's not being completed and coverage is not appropriate. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me or disagrees with me on that. I mean, I know this is a tough call right here because I believe it's all about employee morale and keeping those guys wanting to work and wanting to be prideful in the city and do the things they do. And I've spoke with a bunch of them in the past, not recently, but I know that's a benefit.
Okay, any other comments?
You said this was still a month away from the deadline. I'm not sure the discussion would change much if we waited another month.
So we need to notify them, I think,
30 days.
yeah, 30 days prior. So I think initially we went to 5/8 in May. So November, I think sometime we have to notify them. But I think what we'll do is we'll just go back to the minutes, see when we went to 5/8, and if there's no decision or action taken by then, we'll just notify the union of the permanent change.
Meaning if we didn't necessarily have to make a decision tonight. We don't have a full board here. I mean, we're only missing one guy.
Well-
We'd probably make it, but
Yeah, what I'm saying is right now the status quo is 5/8, because that's what this board approved back in May. And so if there's no action taken or
That's what I was getting at, yeah.
we're deadlocked here, I guess, is sometime in, we'll have to go back to the minutes, but at that 30-day mark, the 30 days from the 6 months, if nothing has changed, we'll send out a letter to the union saying it's a permanent change to 5/8, because by the CBA, we're required to give them the 30-day notice.
I got one other comment. Grant, correct me if I'm wrong here. I think this is a topic that needs to be discussed, so I want to make this comment. If you went, I don't know what your schedule is, but if it was 6 to 4 on 410s, 6 to 7 is going to be a morning briefing and safety and everything else. At 7 to 3, guys are out in the field working, doing their thing. At 3, come back in, clean up your tools, put your stuff away, debrief on the day. So from 7 to 3, you'd be in the daylight getting work done. I don't really have a problem with the 410s. It's the, other than that wintertime coverage on a Friday or you know, how that plays out. And you can't, the tough part, it's hard to operate your crew off weather, because that's kind of I live in that world too. And you know what I mean? It's hard to make your judgment calls off, oh, is it going to snow today or not, and move them around. So I just think if you could ensure that somehow we got coverage by moving schedules around, I don't think the working in the dark thing would be a big issue. Cause I work 7 to 5 and yeah, it's dark at 5, but we're done working at 4 o'clock. We're back in the office and things like that.
Yeah, so currently we work 7 to 3. That's what we were. And when we were working 410s, we were working 6 to 4.
Okay.
So
See, that don't leave you in the dark really.
it doesn't. And
In reality, because you're not in the field at 4 o'clock unless it was something, occasional emergency.
a lot of times we do work right up till 15 minutes before. We'll come back and put things away and be out of there, leaving right as at 3 o'clock. With the 410s, Tommy's concern was showing up when it was dark, and really we do our checks and stuff then, and we can go do that in the headlights of the pickup to drive to the well, walk in the well building, write down the meter readings, check things in there, do the same thing at the sewer plant. And by the time you're done with that, it's light.
And you're on 5/8 and going to cover Fridays, as you said, anyways.
That
With
is
one
correct.
additional employee, correct?
That is correct.
Or just, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I just think the employee morale has got, I think it's got to be considered.
Eve Whittle. So you guys, if you're at 410s, so if these guys have to be called out on a Friday or Saturday or whatever, they being paid overtime? Are they paid overtime to come in and?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's not good. So, this could end up being like the school district. So the school district goes to 410s, right? Because they're gonna, they have to travel to go to ball games and all that kind of thing. But as it turns out, the kids it's Monday through Thursday, and then they have a 3-day weekend, but that's not what's happening. They're traveling on Thursdays and whatever. So our kids are getting like 3 days a week of schooling. which really is 2 days a week, because it takes, after a weekend like that, it takes a whole day to get them settled down and back at school. So, yeah, I think this takes a lot of thought about what door you want to open.
Yeah, I was, you know, I don't know what work production would improve. I mean, I get your work report here. The only thing I see on there that, has anything to do with the work crew, other than the lawnmower people or the people that take care of the fields over there, is the flood cleanup. I mean, there's nothing listed on here for what they did. So, you know, you're talking about projects and stuff and working on these things. I don't see any of that stuff on these reports.
So Monday is used up on trash. Thursday is used up on trash. And do you want me to, I mean, I'll start listing those every time, how many times we do commercial trash service. But there's a lot of things that are repetitive that are getting done. The weeds have been taken care of this year, not perfectly, but that's something we've approached and been working on. I don't know,
Who's done that?
Chris, Logan, me,
Okay, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen them, the weeds being taken care of myself.
you haven't seen the weeds being sprayed and taken care of.
I haven't, no.
I've seen the ones that they could hit with machinery, but I haven't seen anything other than
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I
Around
don't
the-
know.
Around the fire hydrants and telephone poles that you had to get off the equipment to do it. I haven't seen any.
You're right, but we've been out spraying the weeds in the alleys and along the sidewalks. We were doing that, that was happening.
Right.
The only one I've seen spraying is a guy doing,
Community
community
service.
service.
And that's just been the last 2 weeks.
Okay,
Steve,
yeah,
sorry. One other question, since I hope this is appropriate to you on projects. Like the walk path behind by the creek, all the irrigation's messed up, trees are dying, whatnot.
Yeah.
Do you have, not to put you on the hot seat, Grant, but like, do those guys, will they repair that stuff or are they not willing to do so?
No,
And I mean in the regular, not our seasonal crew, but our regular full-time guys.
so
And I know you're shorthanded and that's a lot of infrastructure, so it's not asking in an ignorant type of way.
no, I get it. And so with the walking path, I've had my park guys, when they get done with the parks for the day, go work on the walking path, and that's been happening throughout the summer. Has it always been getting done? No, because we were down to 1 guy in the parks for a while. We started the year with 3 and we're down to 2. And at one point, we were a week with just 1 guy in the parks trying to get somebody hired. And then with the rain that we've had lately, sometimes they have a hard time getting through mowing on one of the parks by itself.
Dixon.
Yeah, Dixon's a nightmare to try and get through in a day with the amount of rain we've had. So, no, I have not pushed my guys out there to do it because we've been taking care of stuff at the sewer ponds. We've been taking care of the trash routes, keeping the equipment running, and doing the spraying of the weeds. And I don't know which little thing that's an everyday maintenance issue that I pull them off of to do something else.
Yeah, no, and I can respect that answer. I just was asking because I think people forget there is a ton of infrastructure in the city of Caliente, and you take a lot of heat, you take some beatings, but you're down to 3 people and there's a ton of work. And so that I'm just asking because I want to make the best decision. And I think you're the manager and best person to report it. And like, I think some of this should be your decision-making as well. So you can be the most effective you can be.
okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that they, with the compromise that Grant brought up, that we keep them on 5/8 all through the winter until the spring or early summer, and then they go to 4/10s.
So can we, and your motion's fine, I just would like more specificity so we can, so if we want to say November 1st,
No, they're still on 5/8 from now until
right, from, well,
all through the winter.
I guess my thing is
You
when
want a
we write
specific
the
date?
letter, yeah, so we can do it until April 1st or May 1st if you want for right now, but I would like to send a letter saying, to the CBA saying, from here on out, we're doing 5/8 from November 1st to April 1st, and then, or,
I think it'd be
March.
October 1st to November 1st, or October 1st to April 1st, or May 1st,
or,
whatever.
yeah, March, whatever. I do the end of the month, and then on the first day of the month, so that way we can specify, I guess, if that makes sense, and maybe Grant has some suggestions there.
Well, we have to do it on a, might not be right at the first of the month or the end of the month. It'd have to be where our pay periods line up, I think.
Probably.
Well, that's
That
what
would, that would make things easier for payroll, but it would be
I would,
a little harder to.
I don't know about a pay period, but a week, start on a Monday.
yeah, we could say like the last Friday in, I don't know. So the first Monday in October to the last Friday in April or the last Friday in March or something.
The easiest would probably be to say, the first full pay period,
Okay.
beginning the month of April or May or whatever month, and then it ends on the last full pay period in whatever month.
Next month.
So that it can fluctuate, but it's still set. That's how we do our annual.
Revise that motion to be on 5/8 from the last Friday of, I'd say, October until the last Friday of April. That helps you with payroll, right?
I was gonna say, so the time change currently is
November
November
6th.
6th and March 13th.
What day was that in April then? The first,
November 6th is the time change, and then April,
March.
or March 13th is earlier this year. Anyway, that's my motion. Is
Okay.
that good enough for you, sir?
So it's going to be from, so the 5/8 is going to be from the last,
Friday, or the last Friday from,
And we do last full pay period,
last full pay period of
whatever month.
October to the last full pay period of March.
I like that. That works.
That's my motion, Mayor.
Do we have a second? Okay,
Motion dies for
motion
elections.
dies.
I would like to see us come up with through a certain time, and then us make a decision at then on how things are working. Not set it now, when we're gonna end it, when we're gonna start another one. I'd like to see it go for a certain way and to be determined at a certain date next year on what we're gonna change to.
Well, that's what I said, is I'd soon leave it on 5 days of work days a week. When it comes springtime and we're looking at that, then bring it back up and we'd discuss it
That's right.
at that time.
Bring it up and discuss it then.
Because if we do that, then we'll have to go through this process a month at a time, or whatever it is too, right?
Just so we're aware, so if we want to do that, that's fine. We will need to send out the letter to the union saying, as of right now, this is a permanent change until future notice. So we will still send out the letter, here in the next week or two, to say, this is our permanent schedule. And then if you want to bring it back up in the spring, then we'll just send out another letter if that's the case.
Was that a motion you made?
Nope. That was just a comment.
Why don't you make it into a motion?
I think Joe was gonna say something too, or maybe.
Joe, did you have something?
I just comment again, I like your motion, Sean, other than the fact, and I kind of like what Tommy said, but I don't base it off, I don't like the time change part because I work that schedule and I have knowledge of it. I'd work it 1 extra hour than Grant and them would be, but I just don't feel the dark or anything has anything to do with it. I'm kind of more of a believer in the coverage, and then maybe we leave it on 5/8 for a little longer and Grant can come up with I think he already kind of has, but prove the reasons why and having that coverage is the biggest thing to me. I honestly don't think the employees are going to lose anything because of morning briefings and safety checks and all that stuff would be conducted at 6 to 7 and then they're in the light till the end of the day. So no disrespect to anybody. I just don't think the time change would affect anything. I think it's the coverage. Grant, do you agree or? Because I'm still a believer too. Grant has a major factor in this.
Yes, Joe, I would agree with you. I think we kind of covered that already, discussing the things that go on in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, then I will make a motion that we stay with the 5-day work week and have it open up so we can discuss it. If you want to bring it back up in the spring, then we can discuss it at that time. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to keep on a 5-day work week. And we can discuss it later on if we want to go back to 4 days a week. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose.
Oppose?
Oppose.
Okay,
Motion carries.
motion carries. All right.
And Mayor, before we move on to Mrs. Whittle, is it? I'm the athletic director at the high school. I'm the athletic director at the high school, the last 4 years. I can tell you, football and volleyball, all of these games are on Fridays. Yes, there was some of that talk, I think, a couple years ago when they went to the 4-10s. We do play Alamo on volleyball on a Tuesday, but it's later, so it's after school, because the Alamo's right there. But volleyball, football, all on Fridays. So we are working towards those 4 days. To set the record straight.
Okay, we'll move on. Approve or deny, what is it, Simba and LCAT's request for $2,150 to help cover expenses for the 3rd annual Calamity Mountain Trails Bike Fest to be held 9/17 and 18th through the 18th. Room Tax Board approved it for recommendation to the city at their meeting on August 22nd. So they have approved this.
Hey, is there money available in the room tax fund?
Yeah.
I will move that we make that donation to, what is $2,150? Yep, $2,150.
I'll second the motion. I'll second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We approve $2,150 for the Trail Bikes Fest. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Aye.
Okay. Approve or deny purchase of new server for MicroAge for $3,755.
So this one came from, if you remember the, I guess the big study slash look into our network, an evaluation that was done by Tony Rucci through Pool Pact. This was one of his primary recommendations, that we have a secondary source for our server, so that if anything ever happened to our server, we have access to our information. So this will give us the ability to have two separate sources of our data, and it just gives us the security of knowing that if something were to happen to one, we still have access to run our software, access to all of our data in the city. So that's what this would be for.
This is Pool Pack recommendation, right?
Well, it was Tony Rucci who is contracted through Pool Pact.
Yeah.
Pool Pact paid for him to do that for us, yeah.
How's this being funded?
It would be however you want to fund it, general fund.
None of that COVID money coming.
Yeah, you couldn't use my favorite account money for this.
I mean, I hesitate to try to put
I
anything
get
to the ARPA funds, but
Doesn't enhance the community, yeah.
But-
See, yeah.
I think it would primarily be the city hall general fund that would pay for that.
We can't afford that then.
Yeah. I hesitate to say we can't afford it because we can't afford to lose our data either. But yeah, I mean, I would say I'll offset that with the Zoom savings, and I'll try to come up with the other $1,000 if I need to. The other thing, I guess, that could factor into that is, going back several months, we had approved, I think it was around $7,000 to upgrade this equipment. I didn't use all of that at the time, and now we're into a new fiscal year. So I believe that the money is there still. The money is there, but yeah, I don't want to say that we can afford not to do it. So yes, there's money there to do it. We'll probably have to make sure that we, come year end, we're gonna have to make sure that we're still in balance with the budget.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make the motion then to approve the purchase of the new server from MicroAge for $3,755.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the new server for MicroAge for $3,755. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Joe, did you vote, just so I have the record? I don't know if I heard you for sure. Still on, I don't know if you can hear. Joe, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Craig. On the other line with the fire thing, so I'll abstain from the vote on that one.
Okay.
Okay, motion carried. Update concerning ongoing grants administration. City clerk's report, you might as well do both of yours here.
Okay. So just for on the depot restoration, we're waiting on CDBG to give Spectraco some guidance on Davis-Bacon wages versus state prevailing wage. They have a few issues that they have to clear up. So that's where we're at with the depot restoration. I included that in my report along with a few other things. If you have specific questions, the highlights are, it's a short report. I'm still working with the IRS. Unfortunately, it's a fun process with them. I've talked to Dan MacArthur's office as well. I'm going to send them some letters that we received, and they're being a pain. So I don't have a specific update other than they continue to want to penalize us every day that goes on. So I'm hoping that once I can sit down with them, and Franklin and I discussed this a couple of times now, once we sit down with them and can clear up where some of the errors are coming from, because there are some explanations with current, with the last few years of data, it should all funnel back to 2011, 2012, 2014, And then it's just gonna be a matter of reconciling what they demand from those years. So I wish there was a more positive report on that, but, and then other than, unless there are specific questions on that one, I spoke with an individual from Desert Research Institute. They're the ones that have this equipment out front of the depot. They asked about consolidating it and getting it, smaller footprint, and I said, well, what about moving it all together? And he said if that's a possibility, they would like to do that as well. So they're looking to move that out towards on the other side of the parking lot, maybe in the flower bed out there, somewhere where they get more access for their solar panels. So the building isn't blocking it, and I think that would be a better look for the city as a whole to get it away from the depot.
Did they give you a timetable on that, if they were to do that?
He said if they can wait until November, great. That would give him more, the time to get it out there. That'd be better for his schedule. If we needed it done sooner than that, let him know. But they want to get it done, I think, pretty quickly. So, other than that, I don't have anything specific to report unless you have questions for me. Oh, I lied. The one other thing I wanted to bring up was I'm working with Joseph Lamb to submit a grant request through Pool Pack. They do grants for small projects, and they will pay for 75% of projects that get approved. And in line with kind of upgrading all of our network equipment and everything, we're gonna do an updated rack to house all of our network equipment back in that back room. It looks like 25% of that is gonna be around $800. And Pool Pack will cover the other $2,500 or so. So that's an application that we have to sign and get into them. It's probably something we need to put on an agenda, but I just want to give you a heads up that that's coming as well. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
Any questions for our clerk? Okay. Public Works Managers Report.
So you guys have my report there for the things that have gone on the last couple of weeks, but last Saturday with the rainstorm, all four of us came in Saturday and Sunday and worked, and then Raymond had to go back to school on Monday, and the rest of this week has been spent hauling mud and rocks and cleaning things up, and we still have a ways to go as things continue to dry out.
Was there any permanent damage done to anything? Any damage done in the cemeteries inside?
Yeah, there was a rock wall at the end of the cemetery that was pushed over by the flooding. There's a whole bunch of mud and rock up against a fence and over some headstones, and a lot of it has been cleaned up already, but there's still lots to do. And as like the retention basin dries out, we're gonna have to go in there and clean all the sand and stuff out of it. Yeah, there's, yeah.
No damage to any of our sewer stuff?
No, our sewer, I had Chris check that Sunday, and he went and looked at it, and it's good. There's probably some storm drains that we may need to address as far as having too much mud and rock and stuff in them. That's one of the things we'll have to look at as we get all the mud hauled out of town as is, so.
Did you check, I know you checked with the insurance company. Did we get any report on
I
them?
have not heard back. I just got them the pictures yesterday. So, Michelle said she'd let me know when she hears back if they'll cover that or not.
I made a request to check out our insurance and see if we could get some insurance money to help with the cemetery out there. If that was the case, maybe we could get a couple of the honor camp crews to come down and work for a week or so down here if
The
we can.
cemeteries?
If they'll supply us with some money and get that fixed up. Haven't heard yet, so we won't know.
Is the gentleman still Jones still leasing the fire hall?
He's still in there.
He's still in the fire hall, yeah.
Okay. He's still paying up the rent.
Say public comment.
Probably when we're all done.
Yeah.
Is there my question was, instead of giving everybody Grant's cell number, which he's fine with, has there been citizens that have come in and talked to you about issues they had with the floods? I know we've only had 3 or 4 days, or how, some have asked me, and I told them, well, I'll talk to Grant, but is there a better system that we can figure out?
I mean,
Or-
Grant and I talked about that a little bit briefly. There have been a couple of calls. Most of them I pass on to him or have let them know that they need to reach out to Grant. I haven't had a lot of calls specifically. A couple people have made comments, but nothing, no requests through me other than the ones that Grant and I have already talked about.
Okay.
so.
Yeah, any other questions for Grant? Okay, discussion of legal issues, Mr. Katsky.
So as Craig has spoken of, we've spent a number of hours at this point working through old tax statements, I guess is the best way to put it. I put a call out to the IRS at this point to hopefully resolve some issues. We don't know what they're gonna do at this point. I'm just, like I said, I'm waiting to hear back from them. I'm gonna put a call into her again tomorrow. I think she's coming on Thursday, 22nd. Is that next week? Yeah, so a week from today, to gather some other documentation from us. But once we have a final resolution of what's gonna happen there, I'm sure Craig will update you, but we've been working on that. We were working on that for a lot of hours the week before last. But again, there's no resolution at this time, so there's not a lot for me to report, or Craig for that matter.
What time elements, date elements are them? What years?
We're talking about back to 2012, 2011. And so there's a lot of issues going on, and I don't want to get into all of it, but it goes all the way up until the first quarter that Craig was here as well, but only because some payments we believe were misapplied, I guess is the best way to put it. And so those are the discussions that we need to have with the IRS, because now we're getting additional penalties because payments were applied. We made the payments, but they were applied to something else. And so now we're getting penalized for not making those payments, but we did make them. I know that sounds kind of convoluted, but the best way to put it is we definitely owe some money. And a lot of that is penalties, is my feeling. We just have to, hopefully, the IRS will be willing to work with us to allow us to apply payments that were made to the right areas so we can get rid of some of those penalties. The problem is the larger penalties come from the ones that are 11 years ago that we never knew about until a couple months ago. And those are where the penalties are really stacking up at this point, because they do it based on a percentage of what we owe to the IRS, which compounds, right? Because I think you get penalties on top of penalties, which is the problem.
Questions for our attorney? Okay, building inspector's report.
You all should have a copy of my report. I sent that to Craig, well, actually 2 days ago. I got some updates for it. Clover Creek Organics survived the flood pretty well. They got some footings up there that are ready to put concrete in almost. They got flooded. They pumped them out. Actually, I think it helped the footings stabilize and compacted some more ground. Now they got to put a little bit more concrete in, which is fine. They're trying to pour the slab, or start pouring the slab on the drying room on the 26th of this month. I think they got their work cut out for them, but we'll see what happens. They're still accepting bids on the interior for both the greenhouse and the drying building. Pioneer Pizza is, I thought they were done with it. I talked to them today and they managed to get rid of a window inadvertently. So now they gotta put a window in, and at the same time, they've gotta put another back door in. This was not flood-related damage or anything. It was just, the window was an accident, and the owner wanted to add the back door to it. And that's really all I've got, unless somebody's got some questions.
On the apartments at Minnie Street, what is their due date? Is it November, December, or are they about done for the whole
Right
project?
now, they're talking about being finished the middle of October. But so far, I've only finalized 17 apartments. So they need to get their act together if they're gonna make that time frame too. Personally, I think it's gonna be more like the middle of November, but hope I'm wrong.
Starting to look good out there anyway.
Yeah, and they're, as soon as they get finished with the apartments, so they can move people around again, then they're gonna concentrate on getting all the work and on the landscaping and everything done. They've got part of the siding done on one of the buildings. And they've got the stuff on hand to do the rest of the siding. Right now, they're having trouble getting workers. Everybody in Las Vegas and Pahrump and everywhere else is busy. They've hired everybody they can around here and everybody that wants to work. You know how that goes. So if you know anybody that needs to work, have them, send them over there.
Okay. Discussion of issues related to public safety. Fire chief. Didn't we put a new pump and stuff in our fire truck and get that all done? So we got a brand new truck, just about, so everything's new as we can get it. All right. Discussion of council members' responsibilities. Parks and Beautification Committee, Mr. Fitzsimons.
Okay, not much from last time. For Mary's benefit, our next meeting will be Tuesday, September 20th for reals. The agenda went out last Tuesday, or no, went out this Tuesday, the 13th, the week before. So we will have that meeting on September 20th. We put out flags for Labor Day and then turned around and did it for 9/11, if anybody noticed. We're gonna have to order some more flags. They're kind of getting beat up in the wind. On that agenda for Tuesday, we're talking about the Christmas plans. Some of these ladies have been some rummage sale hunters. There's been a couple of estate sales, and they've been going there and buying up old decorations and well, they're not old, but decorations for the committee. There was a little bit of water in the basement when we put the flags in. I don't know if anyone did an inventory on that, just in the back door here where the water got down inside there. Doesn't look like it damaged anything, but they were a little concerned because we store our things down there. And before all this rain, they were thinking about organizing some type of community cleanup project like they've done in the past. Just they want to do something like that before it gets too cold. So we'll keep Grant abreast of that situation, and we'll take volunteers. And again, next meeting I'll have more info because our meeting is Tuesday. That's all I have, Mayor.
Any questions for Sean? Okay, Community Development and Planning, Councilman Rao.
Yes, last Monday, we had our Regional Transportation Committee meeting here in this office, in this building right here, in this room. And we approved the Regional Transportation Plan that we've been working on. We approved it to be sent on to the County Commission for their approval. We got a Lincoln County Regional Development meeting on Monday, and that was going to be a physical meeting here at this office, but they changed it. It's going to be by phone now. If anybody is interested in the numbers to get zoomed in on it, I have them available. And that's all I got to report.
Questions for Councilman Rao? Okay. Boxcar Museum, Councilman Laverie.
Yeah, so Boxcar had their grand opening. Unfortunately, I was supposed to be there and told everyone I'd be there, but I got called out to some emergency incidents. So that hopefully was a success, because I didn't see any photos of it or anything, but Legacy was in town with the UTVs, the off-road race. Seemed like a lot of people came in for tourism and busy. And then Camba is Mountain Bike Fest, so I know they keep promoting that hard, so I think they'll have a good turnout. And with my other time, I'd like to defer it to one. I apologize for not being there in person, but my work has dictated me to do some late hours. And also, part of tourism is doing some coordination with Grant and people I work for, and a lot of that was headed up by Grant to get the weeds and get the streets cleaned. And I came into town last night for a minute and looked really good, Grant. But I just want to make that, we helped them out, but that coordination wanted to happen without Grant's coordination. So
Hey, Joe, as
the better the town looks, the better the tourism.
Joe, has Camba talked to you about the trails? Are they okay since the rain?
You know what, Sean, I was actually going to mention that. I didn't talk to Christine, but I have seen some posts, and it sounded like there wasn't damage, but I would assume so. There's got to be on some of those trails.
There's damage to the trails on the water tank tower hill.
Oh, just by Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
And
Oh, our city ones for sure. I thought you were talking out there on the BLM side too.
yeah, I don't know about the BLM side, but they're working on having a youth center crew there tomorrow to work with them on those trails, to help work on them. And we're gonna bring them a bunch of tools when they get ready to do that. And we're gonna get a bunch of stuff set up so they have the access to the facilities at the super park for this bike event.
Okay, great. Yeah, I should have asked you then. I hadn't heard about the BLM trails, so sounds like the event is still on.
Yes.
Anything else, Joe?
Yeah, one last thing, because it got mentioned with the cemetery and maybe helping out. I know our guys have been in contact with Grant on that, and they got sent out on some assignments. They'll be back, and then hopefully Grant and them can get it worked out, and with us helping you and getting that cleaned up.
Okay,
I don't want to put funding, before getting something like that repaired either.
I'll just make some comments on your museum great reopening. I went to it. I cooked hot dogs and stuff for everybody while I were there. It was a success. I think things went pretty well. So we missed you there, Joe. We was looking for you.
My wife is actually sitting here by me. I'm sorry the traffic, but I had every intention of both of us going there. Those guys, I want to say this on record too. They put a lot of work. All the members of the Boxcar and the volunteers, they take a lot of pride and passion in that museum. I spent right before the opening, I spent, I don't know, an hour over there with Coach Phillips, and it's amazing the job and the pride they have in that thing. And hopefully we can get people to keep supporting it and donating to it and using it, because they do have a nice little setup there and take a lot of time in it. And I was very disappointed that I could not make it.
Okay, any questions for Joe? And public utilities, Mr. Hunter's not here tonight, and we got a report from our manager. So anybody have anything for that? For his, add to his report? If not, we'll move on. We had, I was at a Travel Nevada meeting. They came here and put on a deal up here at the brand, or not in the branding area anymore, it's the sidetrack. And I attended that, my wife and I attended that. It's a deal to set up for grants for rural businesses and stuff. So it was, Hellcat was there. It was a lot of stuff that they're working toward. I think it's some things that we need to kind of partner with them on to help get that stuff going. I think it would put available for some monies for new businesses in here for recreational things and whatever they said that this is all not just recreation, but whatever kind of business that somebody wants to put in here that would bring in tourism, that there's some funding there that may be available. So that's something that's coming down the pike here in the next year. And other than that, we put on a dinner for that motorcycle or din buggy trail ride they just had, and a breakfast, and had a lot of people here. A lot of people were they liked it here. It was a very, very good deal put on. I think they helped the businesses. They filled up all of the motel rooms, and so that was a good deal. We're having this bike event this weekend. I know they are asking for help on them trails up there. I know that, like you said, the youth center is going to come help out. I don't know what's happening up above, but I think these ones down here are actually unable to even ride on them right now. So it's going to take a lot of work just to fix this one right here. I don't have anything else. Anybody have any questions for me? I do have one thing. We have this, if you walked in here tonight, you could smell it's kind of a stale smell. We need to go down and check in the basement and make sure we don't have a lot of water down there. I think there's some, like he said, in the entranceway, but maybe back up under here. I know it leaked in his office, and we've got the rugs all nasty in there, so we need to check down below and make sure we aren't having a frog pond down there someplace. Okay, public comment. Do we have any public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Eve Whittle. I just would like clarification. I don't know who knows what about the bridge, and you've probably all been down there to see how horrific it is. So I went over, you know me, I went to the BLM to talk to the lady in charge, and I can't remember her name. But she said, and I don't know if this is true or not, that's why I'm here. She said that they turned that responsibility over to the city 4 years ago, cleaning out underneath that bridge. Does anybody know anything about that?
Yes.
Yes?
So cleaning out from underneath the bridge, we have a contract with NDOT, it has nothing to do with BLM, to clean from, yeah, we don't have a set spot on the lower end because we talked about a lot of things. But we have a contract with them to clean up to that bridge and within a couple 100 feet of the north side of it, or the uphill side, and then
So it's their response, they come to do it, or?
who, when you say they?
NDOT?
No, we have a contract with them for us to do it. They're paying us to do it.
And so might that be getting done? You know, the thing that I worry about, I don't know if you got attachments that came in with the creek back there behind the house. I mean, wow. If those 3 rainstorms had all hit at the same time, the circle would be inundated, it would be flooded. I mean, the amount of water that came down this last time. So if that bridge could get cleared out, so there's a free pathway for that flow to go down, it would certainly be less concerning.
I agree.
And then one more thing, Mr. Chairman, would it be possible to get Jared Brackenberry to come to a meeting and have a sit down and go over all the taxing issues that we're hit with in Lincoln County and the city? For clarification, real clarification.
I don't know that we can do that. You'd have to talk to him, I guess, and see what they could do. They'd probably,
I talked to, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I talked to Sean up at the courthouse. We have the highest taxes in the state. So I just think it would be a good thing for, just to talk about it and to see what all this stuff is and if there's anything that we can do about it. I mean, it's astronomical. The taxes here are as high as in Prescott. So it's, anyway, just a thought, something that perhaps. Thank you.
do we have any other public comment?
Yeah, I'd just like
Yes,
to make a comment. We're talking about that flood Saturday. As a member of Search and Rescue, I was out there south of Panaca on the flats, and it poured out there. I had an ATV trailer with me, and I started getting ready and moving out of there just as it started, because I didn't want to get stuck out there. Almost got stuck anyway, but there was a lot of riders out there in the big race. The checkpoint I was on counted 170 riders went past me. That was really a great turnout. And even though there was 2 events going on, it still was a really good turnout. It was well worth everybody's time to be involved in that.
Turn around, Ken. Turn around, don't drown.
I was out there, it drowned on me, and that was a problem.
Public comment.
Yeah, I have some Tyler Heaton, 2 things. First, I've spoken with Sean and Grant, and they recommended I come in here and just to put it on record. And I know you guys are doing everything with the flood. The first one I had was the race that went on through 180 Bank Street. I don't know what race it was called.
He's talking about the one a couple months back that
A
comes
couple
off the
months
mountain.
ago? Okay.
I wasn't aware of any issues with it until Smitty died, and then I went and tried to clean up in there, and I shoveled off about 2 wheelbarrows of dirt off his front porch, there, and I asked the neighbor there, I'm like, man, what happened here? How can there be so much? And they said, well, it came in from that race, and the gutter was clear full of dirt at that time too. And I was notified, Grant notified me that the race was happening, and so I didn't think anything of it. He'd let me know that it was happening. But when I started asking around about that, 2 things that happened there. One, that gutter got left clear full of dirt. And I'd probably been okay with it if I didn't thought, well, there's nowhere for water to go except for over it. And we were shoveling out it went in every one of the apartments because it couldn't flush through. It was restricted. And then the other thing that happened is in that race, I was talking to the one on the end. Itzla Hernandez lives in there, and she got blocked from going in her home, like walking into her home, because they set up, she said it was like a tripod or a camera or something, and so she just had to get around it to get in. But anyways, I just wanted them on record. I don't know how it's considered for that race with the routes and everything, but I assumed that a race like that, there would be cleanup afterwards, and maybe it just got missed. But I'm not in favor of that going through there for 2 reasons. One, the way it was left, and then 2, there's a lot of bottlenecks right there on that street. And I don't know if the route can't be considered to come in higher or lower or something like that. But I'm just not in favor of for those 2 reasons. I just want that on record. And if there's something that you guys know that could help me understand why, that'd help too. But then the second thing was when the water came down through there, it lifted it and put it right into it had to go up about 6 inches to get inside from the gutter, and then another 4 to get inside the front doors, but it did on all those places. And I think being them full of dirt, that was one thing that helped them raise up. And then the other is just the fact that there's not a gutter, a curb and gutter running down that whole way. And that's something I appreciate. I've talked it over with Galen Baker, I talked it over with Jerry Carter, and even with Grant, when they come in, they had to take out that tree, and it finally got taken out with Grant and stuff. I talked it over with him. And it's always been on the list to do something there. And I just wanted on record that it would have really helped to have had something that could exhaust that out right there on that.
I know that's been a problem area for a long time. It's, the problem, one of the big problems is it's pretty level over there. There's
Yeah.
hardly any place, any drainage.
There's not much
at
drop at all.
Yeah, but we need to be more diligent and make sure them gutters are cleaned out for each time. So, yeah, if it's been there for that motorcycle race, it probably
And be
was there
more
from the last- from
proactive.
The last rainfall.
And be more proactive. I talked to Mr.
Yeah.
Heaton about, he had a tenant that felt like, she couldn't, sometimes races come through town and you can't move your car from your house, that's fine, but you should be able at least to walk in and out of your, with a flag or something, you should be able to walk in and out of your own house. Like, you shouldn't be a prisoner in your own house for a couple hours.
Well, and that's what I thought at first, is this is her car, she can have access with her car.
Yeah.
But no, she's like, no, I was coming home from work, I couldn't get in the house. And she goes, the race was almost over, so I just waited. It wasn't that long, but if she'd had to get home earlier, it would have been.
And I don't think that's, I think that's more on the racing association. We just need to be, more proactive and tell them, hey, we can't just, it's.
And I was just making it aware, I'm sure that it won't be a problem that way again, but if there's a way to consider a different route, there's a lot of bottlenecks coming right down through there, just the nature of that road, to consider that.
Any damage that's done due to the race, if we know about it, it can be taken care of immediately. The racing people come in and take care of
They
that
have
immediately.
insurance and stuff. They had to replace a fence up above your place there, so, there's some avenues of reimbursement there.
Yeah. Well, and I got looking at it, I'm like, I'm kind of thinking about like the Le Mans or something, right down through the middle of everything. But, yeah, that would, and in my mind, the gutter being left full kind of created the damage that we're taking care of with this water, because there's no opportunity for that water. It went down, but it rose, it picked it up. I didn't realize, Grant got over that night because I called and stuff, and they ran a blade down there, but I didn't realize that gutter was that deep. It's about 6 inches deep, and it was level when I was there. I was pushing, when I was sweeping it out before the rain came. So it didn't take much to raise it even more, because it just didn't have a way to exhaust. And you're right, there's hardly any drop there anyways to make it happen. So it's a struggle. One thing on that, and this wasn't what I was thinking, but it brings it up, is, and I'd like to see it, but I was asking Nate what happened to him at Nate Phillips' place. And then he mentioned, he goes, when they built all these other storm drainage places, they did do all of the engineering for that too. And I was curious to see where they would come up with the drop or how to manage that. But anyways, just some things that happened there to make aware of for consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other public comment? If not, what do we got on our agenda for next meeting? Topics? We have anything to move there?
So the next meeting will be on the 6th. Other than potentially the grant with Pool Pact, I don't think I have any other requests for that meeting at this point.
Okay. We don't have anything. Adjourn this meeting.
Have a good evening.
Joe,
Recording stop.
the beautification found at an estate sale. Steve, they found a.
Did you see Ken's?